Well, I'm super excited to see you guys. Well, even though I can't really see you, I'm making believe I can. I'm overwhelmed about how many of you are on this call this morning, and I'm super excited because all these years, I'm Christy McLeod, by the way, and you know, my husband Boyce and I have been teaching these seminars forever, and we always say, treat this like a business. If you either want hobby income or you want business income, right? So we're really excited about what we've got to share with you today because we've been looking for years for a great company with great integrity that has the same mindset we do at TRADEway, where we want the best for our students and we want you to keep as much money as you can that you make, right? That's the whole idea of all this. We don't just want it to disappear. So we've got a great company that we vetted them to the max degree, talked to them 100 million times. Boyce and I use them. Oh my gosh, it's super amazing. Some of the neat things about these guys is they listen. How about that? They listen to us. So when you talk to them and you get your complimentary consultation, you talk to them, you tell them what you need, and they're only going to do what's best for you. Whole different ball game with this group. It's not what's good for them, it's what's good for you. And that means the world to me. You guys all know my heart, and I want the best for my students, the best ever. So they're super great guys, super intelligent. They've got it all from soup to nuts. You'll see, we've got Tommy Thornburg with us this morning, and he's the president of PCS, Prime Corporate Solutions. Oh my gosh, sweet guy, super smart. He knows everything that's going on. And what he doesn't know, he will find out for you because they've got them all. They've got the attorneys, the CPAs. And, you know, we talk about tax preparation and, you know, we all say, if you're a stock trader, you better not be doing your own taxes because they're the ones that know what you need. You don't know. If we knew, we'd all be CPAs, right? No, thank you. So that's what this is all about. And we want you to have the best that there is. It's taken us a while. It's taken us years to find them, but we've got them now and they're going to be yours. And they're just like us. They're an extension of us. So anyway, I'm super excited to introduce them to you, and we're going to have questions and we want to answer them all. And in 1 second, you're going to meet Tommy Thornburg. Like I told you, he's the president of PCS. He's been with them a long time. He's helped thousands and tens of thousands of people just like us that are entrepreneurs to help them structure their business. There's all different ways, you guys. There's not one cookie cutter. It's not a cookie cutter. We're all different. We all have different needs, and they will only do what you need and nothing else. That is encouraging, helps my heart know that we're in good hands. So I'm going to turn this right over to Tommy. You're going to think he's as sweet as I think he is. Tommy, you there?
How we doing? Thank you so much, Christy. Can you hear me okay?
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can, Tommy.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Christy. I appreciate you. I'm honored to be here. Christy's got me all pumped up with that intro like I'm walking into a boxing ring of some sort, but I'm thrilled. Thank you so much. The whole team. Katie, thank you to you as well. You've put all this stuff together, so I appreciate it. I'm honored to be here. This is going to be awesome. This isn't the most exciting call that probably you are going to have because I'm talking instead of Christy, but hopefully we're going to be able to cover a lot of great information that at least benefits each and every one of you, and you're able to take something away that is going to better your situation. I can't say it enough, exactly what Christy said, just to echo it. I want everyone to be very clear that a lot of what we're going to go over is based off of your situation. So the fact that she was shocked that we listen, I don't know how else it could be done because everyone's situation is so different that unless we hear and understand what you're going through and what your goals are, then there's no way that it's going to help you anyway. So let's keep that in mind as we're going through here. I've got a little slideshow that we've put together. So I'm going to put this on and I'm going to share the screen and we'll go through a couple slides. Make sure we get it. Okay. Can everyone see my screen here?
Yes, sir. Looks good.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. So as we go through this, the goal is we want you to understand what your options are, right? That's the biggest thing that we try and make you aware of when we speak with you one-on-one as well, is not everyone's situation's the same. And we can't just throw you into a box and say, this is the best way for you to do it, because that's not always the case. There's always pros, there's always cons. And if we can help you understand what those are, it ends up going a long way. So let me just see here. Prime Corporate Services. Who are we? Why in the world are we talking to you? So like Christy said, we do have a full team of CPAs, and a lot of what we are going to discuss is from a tax forecasting standpoint. A lot of people, a lot of investors, a lot of individuals in general will get to the end of the year and think to themselves, well, it's tax time. Either use the same person we have for 10, 15, 20 years, or go down the street and see if they know how to file my taxes. But if you're not involved with that process throughout the year, and you're not game planning and you're not forecasting how to keep money in your corner and in your pocket, how many of you at the end of the year question, did I leave money on the table, right? And that's what we want to be able to avoid. If you can get a little bit more involved in that process and understand what your options are, hopefully you feel more comfortable to where you know you're getting the return that you deserve, or you're not overpaying. The legal entity structuring, this can go anywhere from a business entity all the way to a full estate plan, right? For some of you, we've probably already talked to quite a few of you as well. And one thing that I've noticed about this group is a lot of you aren't just doing this for yourselves and for money now. A lot of you really do have that mindset of what's coming in the future, right? Protect your legacy, whether it's from an estate planning standpoint, whether it's from an asset protection standpoint. Let's do what we can to make sure that you have a game plan and the goals in place to protect those as well. Chris, do you want to jump in here?
Well, you know, back in the day when we first started all this, you know, we had a CPA that knows about stock trading. And I tell the people at the seminar, our students at the seminar, this all the time. You know, you may love your CPA, they may be your brother, they may be your sister, and you can love them all you want. But if they know nothing about the stock trading business and what they can do for you, it doesn't do us any good at all. And my goodness, when we finally did it and made sure we had it going the right way, what we saved was incredible. And I keep saying, what if you could take what you saved that you haven't saved all these years, because I always say we don't know what we don't know about stock trading, right? Well, we don't know what we don't know about tax preparation either. So if you use somebody that knows like y'all do, and we're comfortable knowing that you guys know what to write off and what to do this and how to set us up and all that jazz, we can take all that money we saved and we can put it back in the market or whatever, buy new shoes or something, whatever it is, you know. But I just think it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Well said. I love it. It's funny that you say that. Put it back into the market, put it into your own retirement, throw it off a bridge. I don't care what you do with it, but at least give yourself that option to make that decision. I completely agree. And it's similar to the sense where when you come in and you start to understand working with all of you, stocks are scary to a lot of people. The market is scary to a lot of people. And it's just one of those things that the less you know, the less you understand how to utilize some of those benefits. There's 72,000 plus pages of a tax code. So it's not like you're going to go read it. If you did, they'd probably change it on you halfway through anyway. But if you at least had an understanding the areas that you are working in, even if it's outside of trading, there are areas that we can help there as well. But I agree. Well said. So over 30,000 entrepreneurs we've helped understand their situation, right? We're not the best fit for everybody, and we'll be the first ones to tell you. But what we want to do is help you understand your situation. That's the whole goal there. And then the one that we're most proud of, BBB, one of my one of my jokes here, we got a better rating than the BBB. So we'll take pride in that for quite a while, but A+ with the Better Business Bureau. That's the one that we're probably most proud of out of these stats here. Legal disclosure. So just so everyone knows, I read a stat that if you read everything that you signed in a year, it would take you a year to read it. So to sum this up here, I am not a CPA. I am not an attorney. All of these slides that we go over are going to help you understand what's better for your situation, right? It's not a matter of this is what's best for you. It's a matter of educating and helping you understand what your options are, okay? Why didn't I have one of my CPAs or my attorneys come on here? Because I don't want them to bore you half to death or scare you to death. That's not the goal. Let's help you understand what your options are and keep on keeping on here. So let's jump into it. The exciting stuff, if you will, as exciting as it gets from a tax standpoint, I guess. So the tax reform, Tax Cuts and Job Acts, for those of you that follow this or follow even politics very closely, we experienced one of the largest tax cuts in the US history. It can be beneficial. It can hinder you depending on what you know and how you go about it, especially for those of you that are self-employed. So keep in mind, we can talk about stocks, and that's what we want to really focus on based off this. But if some of you do have other entrepreneurial ventures or are real estate investors, the same rules apply. Be aware of what you're doing and understand what some of these changes are and how they impact you directly. Okay. The biggest change that we've come across is that they suspended Section 212. Now, with the suspension of 212, a lot of what it's done is it's eliminated some of these itemized deductions. So it almost blinds you to the sense where for those of you that are single or those of you that are married, it's increased your standard deduction. So it feels like it's better. You get the warm and fuzzy from the additional standard deduction, but what we want to make sure of is that we're not losing out on some of the additional itemized deductions that you're able to take advantage of. Christy, you want to jump in? You got something to add there?
Well, there's just so many things that we don't know. I keep saying the same thing over and over again, but and I don't know if this is a good time to ask you about this. And by the way, that part about you listening was, I meant you're a crew of guys and you listen. I'm just shocked. Guys, listen, that's kind of like an oxymoron, isn't it?
Hey, my mother would slap me otherwise, so that's a compliment to her.
You're a good mama. Is this a good place to ask you about the $3,000 loss limitation?
That'll work, yeah. So when you're trading and I'll go over this more throughout, because the reality is you need to make money somehow, some way, right? Whether it's you as an individual, whether it's a day job, W-2 job, whether it's your self-employed business, or whether it's you as a trader. The reality is being structured and having the right things in place, it doesn't do you any good unless you're making some money somewhere, somehow. So I'll kind of break some of those things down on at least what you can be aware of with that $3,000 capital loss limitation. But we want to be able to make sure that you're not limiting yourself to those itemized deductions that you're able to take. So the Section 212, it affects individual investors. And I'll break down some of the different options that you have as a trader and as you're getting into the market. But what we don't want to do is in years that you're generating income, the IRS comes in and says, great job. It's a short-term capital gains tax. Give me that money. But if you have a year that is a down year and you lose money in the market in 07 and 08 or something along those lines. I know there's still money to be made in those years, but what if we don't want to limit ourselves in the deductions that we're able to take and just rely on carryover for the remainder of our lives in a lot of cases, depending on what that loss is.
Okay.
So, good question. Let me go over that a little bit more as well as we go into these different ways to trade, because it is a big part. It is something that everyone definitely needs to be aware of. So on the 3 legal ways to trade here, just so everyone's aware, these aren't written in stone. If you Google search all 3 of these, you'll probably find about 15 different terms that different companies will use to try and push you into feeling like theirs is the best option. But when it really sums it up, we can narrow them down into 3 different types of traders, whether it's the individual trader, professional trader, or the expert trader. I'll break these down individually. And what I ask here is understand that each of these are beneficial. It's what's best for your situation. That's what you have to ask yourself. And in your own shoes, sitting here watching this right now, try and understand that as I go through here. I'll try and keep it very broad so it covers a lot of different people's situations, if you will. Okay. But the first one, this is the most common. So when people first get into trading, or even people that have been trading for 30 years, I've seen this for years and years, for as long as I've done this. The default tax status a lot of times is just all people know, or the only option that people think that there is. And once again, it's just due to lack of education, really. The individual investor, all that is going on and opening up a brokerage account and always trading through your name and your social. That's okay. You can do that. But there are a lot of limitations from a tax standpoint that we want to be able to lift that up. We want to be able to make sure that you aren't losing the option to take the additional itemized deductions, right? Chris, do you have something you want to add there? I feel like your wheels are turning. I need to give you a chance here.
It's hard for me to sit here and be still. You know, I had no idea what the write-offs were. No idea whatsoever. You know, and when my CPA said to me, he said, well, anything, you can write off anything to do with stock trading. I'm like, yay, I can write off voice. You can't do that. This is why we need somebody like you. We can't just think we know it all on our own. And how awesome will it be for our stock traders to actually have somebody that can lead them in the right direction, so they're not like flying by the seat of their pants. And that's dangerous when you're talking to the IRS. You don't want to be doing this on your own. That's what scares me. So I'm just thrilled to death that you guys can direct everybody, because we're all different. We're all different.
For sure. I love it. Well said. It's so true. It's not constantly what we say over here is it's not about how much money you make. It is all about how much money you're able to keep in your pocket.
Exactly.
Right? If you feel like you have a good year, it's short-lived come tax time if you don't understand what you can take advantage of to mitigate your loss and to offset some of these with deductions. We want to make sure we're playing by the book, right? We don't want to do something that we're not supposed to or that we can't do. But there's 72,000 pages of a tax code for a reason. And not all of them apply to you, but I'm sure there's a couple that we could certainly find in there. So the second status, active trader status. Now, I touch on this briefly because it is a federally obtainable status. For those of you that have this status, you're sitting here watching this, shaking your head, saying, yep, I know this one. Because trust me, if you qualify for this, you know, you're trading daily. There's high dollar trades. There's a lot of limitations on whether or not you're able to qualify for active trader status. So it is an option. That's why I go over it, but I'm going to skip through it here pretty quickly because pretty rare for people to qualify. I only talk to probably, 10 to 20 traders a year that actually qualify based off of the requirements that it takes here. So the last one that I want to talk about is, so the first one, the default trader status and the self-employed trader status are really the most common. And I liked what you said in the very beginning, where if you treat this like a hobby, it's going to cost you like a hobby. If you treat it like a business and operate it like a business, reap the rewards of a business, right? What you do at the end of the day is totally up to you, but why put all the effort and all the work into it to really want it to be a long-term residual type income, but not be able to take advantage of the deductions and the investment and the hard work and the time that you've committed and devoted to this over the years, right? So with the self-employed trader status, what it does is it allows you to really open up for a lot of additional itemized deductions, okay? And these are the areas that we just want to make sure investments, and let me go over some of these itemized actually here. What are some of the itemized deductions that you're able to take advantage of? When you're just filing your taxes as an individual, you do get that standard deduction, but we want to open that up from an itemized standpoint. If you are treating and operating this like a business, what the IRS is looking for and what they ask for is that it's ordinary or necessary. So for those of you taking notes, I think that that is one that should be able to help you resonate with what is deductible. Is it ordinary or is it necessary? If it's ordinary or necessary for your business, then in a lot of cases, you can make an argument for that to be a deductible expense, right? I dare you to trade without the internet, without a phone. A lot of you, I'm sure, have a designated home office that is by the book. Some of these can be difficult, and a lot of times CPAs will try and scare you away from taking them, but understand that it's because there's a way to do it and there's a right way to do it that allows you to take these as deductible expenses. So for a lot of you, you've paid for advisory, you've paid for courses, you've paid for softwares. Now, January 1st, 2018 until 2025, those itemized deductions are very, very limited. If you feel like you're taking those, make sure that they're not just getting thrown in with your standard deduction, because there is a good chance you're potentially leaving money on the table, okay? The pass-through function. So, Christy, I'm happy you asked about the 3,000 limitation, because I think this is really where I want to make sure everyone understands what the options are here. So there's different types of entities. If you are a self-employed trader, then a lot of times you are wanting to treat and operate your brokerage accounts like a business by having the proper business structure in place. So once again, it's not for everybody. I don't think it's going to benefit everyone that's on this call, but hopefully once you are generating income, or if you have made investments into advisory and things of that nature, you're able to understand how to write those off, or if you're able to write those off, okay? There's a big difference between can and if, and we can certainly help you understand what that fine line is. But the standard deduction that I've talked about several times, just to give you an example, for those of you that do have a personal income, if it's a W-2 income, these are what your standard deductions look like. And in 2018, they basically doubled. So unless you're in California, New York, Massachusetts, these high state income tax states, Taxachusetts, if you will, you probably feel like, hey, taxes aren't that bad. They're better than they used to be. And unfortunately, that's a lot of people's mindset is, oh, hey, it was a little bit better than last year. That's cool. Get away from that. We don't know what we don't know. And just because this standard deduction doubled don't let it trick you into thinking that it's the end all be all and hey, things could be worse. They were last year, right? So with that standard deduction, it is a huge benefit. It's awesome, but is it for your situation without taking additional itemized deductions? And that's where I ask you to just care about your situation and take a deep dive into what your expenses are. And if we can help in those areas from a forecasting standpoint to help you understand what your options are, that's what we care about. So anything you want to add on that? Does that cover the $3,000? We don't want to limit that $3,000 deduction. We want to be able to take a lot of the additional itemized deductions without just limiting you to your personal expenses. Okay. Your initial investment. So I'm fully aware that all of you have invested money into understanding the market better, right? And what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to make sure that that's showing itself as an ordinary or necessary investment for your business or for your trading venture, right? What we don't want to do is we don't want to look at it as just an educational expense, because a lot of times they want to see an accredited university. There's limitations there. If we can make sure it's ordinary or necessary and you can understand what those options are, hopefully it's a little bit of peace of mind and you understanding how these investments that you've made can become deductible expenses. Okay? That's all I ask, is understand and know what your options are and how you can make them or keep them in your corner, I should say. Okay? And just so everyone's aware as well, I know, Christy, I believe you've done this once before. I don't know who's all taken advantage of it. We've talked to quite a few of you, and it's been great speaking with you. There is a link that's going to be at the bottom of this. And if you want to understand more about your situation, we are certainly going to offer a consultation in regards to what Christy's put together here. Christy, do you want to take this just so you
Yes.
what
Yes.
you put together?
Ooh, how loud was that? Sorry about Poppy barking at the pool boy out there. Gosh. Anyway, Boyce was supposed to be in control of the dog. Okay, so if you guys have any questions.
Oh, I think that's me. Sorry, let me mute.
That was Christy's second camera, so I just muted it. You're good, Tommy.
Okay, so I'm super loud still. Am I real loud?
No, you're fine now, Christy.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, so if you guys have questions we want to ask too, we're going to ask you, Tommy. I've got some students that have some questions. But I've told you this before. It doesn't cost you anything to get your complimentary consultation with PCS. But I do ask you this. When you call them, make sure you have all your questions written down. And some of the things they talk to you about will trigger more, but they're going to take their time with you, and their time's valuable just like your time is valuable. So they will take as long as it takes to answer every single one of your questions. And like I told you before, it's not cookie cutter. Everybody's different. They're only going to let you do what's good for you. And if they don't think they have what's right for you, they won't let you do anything. So take advantage of it and click on that link right there that Katie put in there and set up an appointment with them, and they'll give you a call. You're going to love these guys because they listen. They're not normal guys. They listen. I'm teasing. Voice is squawking in the background, but you know I'm teasing, kind of. But anyway, you can tell Tommy knows what he's talking about, and the other guys are the same as well. But if you guys have some questions, shoot them in the chat. Tommy, can you see, one question was, can you deduct charitable contributions?
Excellent question. Excellent question. So probably every single question that I get, I'm going to lead with it depends, because it really does based off of your situation, right? In most cases, absolutely, charitable donations can be a deductible expense, but a lot of it is based off of your situation and how you're structured, how you're set up. What are you donating to? How much have you made as an individual or as a trader? Are there limitations on how much you can donate? But what I love about this group and the people that I've already talked to is first of all, everyone I've talked to has been so awesome. I really appreciate it. there's people that I've spoken with, a couple in California, and we've said, this doesn't make sense for your situation because of what's going on in California. There's been others people where it certainly does. So California is a tough one in a lot of cases. So yes, to answer your question in short, but once again, it depends on your situation. It depends on your income, and it depends on how much you want to donate. I know a lot of you are giving and caring people. So to a certain degree, yes, and we can help you understand what that amount is and hopefully make that a reality.
Hey, Tommy, do you agree though, even just because they live in California doesn't mean they shouldn't call and talk to y'all, because there's all kinds of things you can do for all kinds of people, correct?
Of course, of course. I'm happy that you clarify, because those are the people that I was originally from California. I'm in Salt Lake City. I'm in Utah now. A lot of my family's in Utah, and for anyone that's watching this that is in California, you know that taxes are a nightmare. So it's probably that much more reason to make sure that you're not overpaying. They're charging you for the weather. It's a beautiful place, but you're paying for it. Don't pay more than you have to.
I'm pretty sure 90% of the California people have moved to Texas, but that's okay. We welcome everybody. Okay, got another question. We used our first CPA this tax year. He wasn't all that knowledgeable. Can anything be done retroactive?
Great question. And the short answer is yes. The long answer is it worth it? And I know that seems like a short answer, but the reason that I answer it that way for you is if those taxes are already filed, our group is happy to even look at those if we need to see if there's a review or an amendment process. But in a lot of cases, does it cost you more than it's worth? If so, I don't want to do that. Does it make sense based off of how much you've invested? Those are probably things that we need to talk about if that's the case. And if those answers are yes, 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 there are options to go back and amend it. But what I ask in regards to that question is, make sure you're not putting yourself in that position moving forward. Let's try and make sure that moving forward, you're starting to compile. This next screen that I talk about here is, don't think about what it does for you on an annual basis. Whoever asked that, thank you. You're right on cue. I feel like I seated you in there for the question. Think about what your savings do for you as they compile over several years, right? Even if it's only a savings of $100 a year. This is based off of an example of a hypothetical person that doesn't exist that made $100,000 a year. But by taking advantage of additional deductions, you see how very quickly, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. Now, this isn't exactly what we can do, and this isn't exactly what your situation is. But all I ask is, if your goal is for the long term, I love your guys' saying where, what is it again? Small steps, big goals?
Yes.
1 year at a time. 1 year at a time to compile, to game plan, to have these goals to get you to where you want to be. Sorry for the long-winded, all over the place answer, but hopefully that answers.
Okay, that's good. Okay, another thing is, say, the last one was entity. You will talk to people, and if they don't need an entity, you'll say absolutely not, correct? And you'll ask who needs an entity and who doesn't need an entity. You'll make that clear to them when they call you.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. I mean, here's the thing is, entities really don't benefit everybody. That's just the rude reality. There are several cases where it does. I mean, just to give you an example, when you're opening up a brokerage account, a lot of times if you are trading with a business or as a business or with an entity, there's additional costs that you have to pay for to have that as an entity. I don't want you to do that if it doesn't make sense or if you're going to go into the red. But maybe it makes sense where you don't tie it with the brokerage. Maybe it makes sense where it does. Maybe it makes sense where you have it for itemized deductions. Maybe it doesn't. And that's where, if it doesn't make sense for your situation, we truly believe that what goes around comes around. And I go back to my mother. She'd slap me if someone got something that they didn't need. It really is just the way that it is. If it's something that helps you and helps your bottom line, we're going to help you understand what those options are. But if you're making no money, if you're just doing this to understand how to trade, if you're just treating this like a hobby, then I'd probably ask you not even to schedule an appointment as well. If you want to treat this like a hobby, please don't talk to us, because it's just not worth it for you. And we'll make you aware of that if that is the case.
Okay. Hey, Tommy, can I ask you a few more questions?
Of course, please.
Okay. So, I mean, they say, what type of fees would we expect from PCS? It's different for everybody. You're going to talk to them about that as well. And it says, did we get something good for TRADEway students? We did. We got a complimentary consultation. No companies do that. So that's a big deal. That's going to give you a peace of mind the minute you talk with them. Now, this one I'm going to let you talk to. I'm unsure of how to proceed for this year. I took 5,000 and made a profit of 50. I didn't expect to have to worry about a huge tax hit this year. If I change my structure now, can I roll in the 50K I made, or are those gains already locked at my current status?
First of all, good work. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, there is.
Those are the stories that we like to hear, because those are the stories that allow you to offset, right? Here's what we want to do there is make sure that you have your itemized deductions, right? What you don't want to do is you don't want to look at that $45,000 and have the IRS also say, good work, give me mine. So try and mitigate that loss. Make sure that you're aware of what your options are and what your deductions are so that you can lower. Now, are you going to pay money in taxes? Yes. Is that a good problem to have? Yes. Do you want to pay more than you have to? Probably not.
No.
And just to go as far as the cost as well, Christy has been awesome, obviously, and we've been talking since 6:30 this morning, making sure that all her people are taken care of. We are going to offer the free consultation. And as far as the costs are concerned, every state is a little bit different. And the big thing as far as the forecasting is concerned, the reason the cost is different there is just because everyone's situation is different. If all you're doing is trading, it's much different than those who want additional assistance in their real estate or anything else. So there are some discounted rates there for the TRADEway clients. But once again, the consultation is the most important piece for you to understand your situation and whether or not it even makes sense. I can't say that enough.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a direct question. How's that?
Mm-hmm.
Am I with you? We didn't just get messed up, did we?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Can TRADEway education be deducted? I guess it depends on how they're set up.
Yeah, it's a direct question for sure. And once again, the answer no one wants to hear. It depends. Why does it depend? How does it depend? If you don't make any money anywhere, life is harder.
Right.
It also is harder to take deductions. If you have a personal income, if you're making money in the market, there are certainly ways to look at that being a deductible expense, but it depends on your situation. So in short, it can be. In long, let's make sure that we understand how to do that.
Perfect. Okay, I got another one for you.
All right, let's hear it. I'm ready.
All right. If we have a C Corp for our trading business, including a profit sharing, do we need to have a brokerage account in the company's name for the company to make money? Or are we funding the company through our own capital loan to the company?
Phenomenal question, complicated situation, one that I would assume you have probably been advised from a CPA or an attorney of your own, because why you have a C corporation in that area without me understanding the full landscape of your situation, it's difficult to answer that question, because how are you using the C Corp and how does it coincide with how you're trading are huge variables, right?
Yeah.
So is there a way to do it to take advantage of the deductions? Yes. Is it the way that you're doing it, and is it proper the way that you are doing it? I don't know. That's where I think really breaking down your situation and understanding why and how you're using the C Corp and why and how it's funding your trading will make a huge difference. I think it's good information. Whoever set it up for you, or even, I mean, we're happy to talk to you in the consultation about it, but understand why you're doing things like that. If you do have an entity, I don't want you to just have it and have it collect dust on the bookshelf. I want you to understand how to use it. That's our goal.
Absolutely. It's useless if you don't use it. I mean, that's crazy, wasting money. Okay, I have a question from the sweet man that I love. I love all my students, as we all know. This is Sweet Frank. He said, I've been calling myself retired for several years. He's like 28, I think. He looks it anyway. He says, I purchased the LLC last month. E-option and TD Ameritrade won't allow me to change the type of account.
Okay.
It says, on the new applications, do I declare myself retired or self-employed?
Do you want to, Christy, maybe text me his name and number and let him know that I will personally reach out to him.
Okay.
TD Ameritrade and Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab's been talking about buying TD for who knows how long. It depends on who you talk to if you called. It also depends on how you're setting it up and what you're trading through. Here's another thing, I'm happy that you're asking this. There's a huge difference between trading through taxable accounts and retirement accounts. And for those of you that are trading through retirement accounts, you're probably fully aware of that. But understand the difference of what your options are there as well. So I will reach out to you directly. Frank, I believe, the 28-year-old Frank, I think you said.
I have his number.
Just shoot me a text and I'll reach out because there's a form that you're going to have to fill out and I'm happy to help.
Okay. There's another question I need to ask you and I can't find it. I lost it because it moves so quickly. And we all know how technical savvy I am. Liz, okay, here we go. Thanks, Katie. I'd like to prepare for my consultation, but have no idea what are good questions to ask or what I need to have ready to prepare for it. What question should I ask?
Phenomenal question. This is probably something I should have covered. So you're hired, whoever asked. The first thing that I want you to just be aware of is last year, think to yourself, do you feel like you overpaid or do you feel like you took advantage of deductions that you should have been able to? And if there's areas and there's questions of why couldn't I take this or why didn't I think about this? Certain deductions, especially your investment, for instance, with the program, I think those are great questions to ask based off of the amount that you've invested. Do you have other softwares? Have you had to purchase computers or equipment? The other thing that a lot of the questions that you'll need to be aware of, we ask throughout the consultation so that we understand your situation a little bit better. But what is involved with your tax situation? That's the big thing that we want to be able to make sure of is, do you have a W-2 income? Are you self-employed? Taxable account, retirement account? How do you plan on trading? And then the big one for those of you that have written your goals down and are aware of what they are, where do you want to be in 3 years? Where do you want to be in 5 years? And how can you plan accordingly from a tax standpoint? So many people get caught up in, I need to make more money, I need to make more money. It feels like a rat race. How can I keep more money in my pocket, work smarter, not harder, and focus on both of those areas? So your situation, what do you want to protect? The other thing, a lot of clients that we've spoken with have been very interested in how they can protect their legacy for future generations. If that's something that you feel like you want to understand a little bit more as well, definitely let us know there.
You know, it's funny. I love that you just said legacy because that's what we talk about all the time is create a legacy.
Oh, good. Hey, that's what it's all about. It's not about you. For most people, it's not about me. It's about the others that you care about. making their life easier if something were to happen, and just your peace of mind while you're here, understanding that those things are taken care of, that works wonders as well from a mental standpoint.
From a young man, you're an old soul, darling.
Hey, thank you to Mom once again, 3 times in one call thanking Mom. She's going to be ecstatic.
Moms are great, aren't they? Oh gosh. There's going to be so many questions, but I'm excited that you guys will take the time to answer them all. And that's a big deal for all of us. But the big thing, you guys, is that you know that PCS understands how much we care about every single one of you. We have hammered this home from the very first call we had, that you're our people. You're like, we're one big family, and they have to treat us as that way. And that's why they fit in so well. They get it. They get it. They care. And I couldn't be more excited to have them all as a team with us. So I'm happy. So make sure you click on that link so you can get an appointment and be ready. And you know what? If you don't have the right questions, guess what? They're going to ask you questions, and you'll all fill in the blanks together. Am I right, Tommy?
For sure. If you feel like it's too early, we'll help you understand what to be aware of. If you feel like you're already structured, maybe hopefully everyone was able to take at least one piece of information away from this that got them thinking. That's what our goal is be aware of what your situation is and how to take advantage of it. And you guys are in good hands here. I mean, Christy's been texting me since 6:30 this morning saying, if you don't treat my people with respect, I'm going to strangle you. That's what
I didn't really say that. I said smack you.
I'm sorry, smack. That's right.
One of the other questions was, they said, should they send their questions in? No, you don't need to send your questions in ahead of time. Just have a conversation, because that dialogue is what's going to make you understand. So just make your appointment. They'll talk to you. You'll love the guys. They're sweet. They're patient. They're good. Does anybody else have any questions before we take off? Yes, simply have your questions on hand, and they'll walk through them with you when you have your consultation. I believe we're blessed to have met PCS. We all meet for a reason. It was kind of a roundabout way how we did. You guys, some of you know we've been looking for years for a good company like this, and we didn't settle. And it took a minute to get them through, but we got it done, and I couldn't be more pleased. So they're all good. And you know how I always say, like our company, TRADEway, we've got a great company, and it all starts at the top, right? We all know David Mitchell's a great man, a good man. Gives me goosebumps when I talk about him. He is a good man. Therefore, everybody that works for David, you could talk to anybody through the company. It just goes on and on and on, and everybody's the same because it starts at the top. And your guy, Steve, at the top, Howard, he is a sweet, good guy. I mean, I'll ask him a question and always puts the praying hands after. I'm like, man, he thinks just like we do. But it started at the top, and now we've got Tommy, we've got Palmer. I've talked to them all, and they all have the same mindset. So thank you, Jesus, for all that. I'm thrilled.
I love it. I love it. I look forward to, I've already enjoyed, we've probably already talked to, I don't even know how many it is. I've enjoyed the conversation so much, and our team has enjoyed the conversation so much. And like you said, if you don't know what to ask, just come into the call and they'll kind of guide the conversation as well to help you understand what to be aware of. So don't put pressure on yourself feeling like I've got to have all these questions for them, because they're going to ask you questions and it's going to be a back and forth just to help you understand what to be aware of. So don't feel pressure like you have to quiz and grill them either. Know that they'll kind of guide you through that.
That's kind of my fault. And this is for Brent, and Tom, you don't know this word yet, but just don't be chitchapated. Chitchapated means freaked out. So don't be chitchapated about your questions. Are you happy now that I brought up chitchapated?
Chitchapated?
That's my word. It just makes people realize I'm a visual. If you're chitchapated and freaked out, you make a horrible trader. So don't be chitchapated when you get your questions ready.
Gotcha.
I think
What
we're
was
good.
just another good one the other day as well? Doodah or
Doodads.
they're Christyisms. I think they're going to have to, it's like a vocabulary of its own. We're going to have to start a dictionary for you.
Oh my gosh, if David Mitchell's listening, he always says he started a book of Christyisms. That's too funny you just said that. Can't help it.
That's great.
Sorry. Well, I think we're good.
Hey, thank you so much for having us. We're honored to be here, and we're really excited about it. It's been enjoyable so far, and I'm confident we can keep it going.
Tommy, can we have you again for the people that we missed? Can we
Of
do it
course.
another time?
Of course, I'm more than happy. More than happy to
Okay,
do
you're
it.
smart.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you. I think that's good, unless you have any questions for everybody.
Pleasure. Thank you for the laughs the last couple days putting this all together. And if anyone wants to give Christy a hard time about losing to her dad in cards, feel free.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for that. He's still loving every minute of it. Even when I tucked him in last night, he's still loving that fact.
I was cheering for Dad. I'm happy you got the win, even though you're great.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Okay, you guys. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for having
Thank
us.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. You guys click on that link for your consultation. You don't need to call. Just click on the link and they'll call you. You guys all have a good day. Stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. Thank you, Tommy.